Smash them up, you know. Kids not listening to you, you just smash these beans up. You know, your grades, your teacher's not, you know, working with you when you got some issues going on at home. You just smash them up. But yeah, so yeah.
Skins are coming off too. I see it.
Yeah, no, the skins are good too. The whole thing is edible, and it won't really be noticeable once we mix everything up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much how this goes. We'll spend a couple minutes doing this, and
I had a question because like I was interested in, was it intentional for you to put like Compton in like the forefront of the name of the business that you wanted to run? Because you're from Compton.
correct.
Right?
Yes.
I guess, is that like a meaningful thing for you?
Yeah. So when I came up with the concept for the business, it was more so doing something for my community. So being that I'm from Compton and I wanted to do this business for Compton, it felt fitting. That was like literally the first name that I came up with when I had the idea of actually forming a business to do this. I was watching The Breakfast Club with Charlamagne the God and DJ Envy, and at the time Angela Yee was on there, and they had Dame Dash, Jay-Z's former business partner, and a lot of his rhetoric that day was just focusing on hustling for your last name and having some type of legacy when you're dead and gone. And that conversation really resonated with me because at the time I was working at SpaceX and I didn't feel like I was valued for what I brought to the table. So I was already in a space where, you know, it's got to be something more for me. And hearing him speak about hustling for your last name, it just made everything click. I was doing the fast at that time, if I wasn't already full blown out of the fast, but just living this lifestyle. And yeah, before that interview was over, I registered Compton Vegan.
Wow.
And just told myself that I'd have a vegan restaurant in the city of Compton one day.
Awesome.
And yeah, I've just been on that same grind ever since then.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't help but like, so I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And the president of Compton College, he was just talking about how like Compton as a name just kind of gets a bad rap. And it kind of still does, like, especially when it came to like funding the community college. I guess like, you know, it lost its accreditation, and so people were, and like in the comment sections and also for the rationale of why people are just kind of being like, you know, well, it is in Compton,
right?
So like, you know, what do you expect, kind of thing. Do you feel like you have, is that something that you've encountered when you do like assert the name Compton?
Actually, I guess the uniqueness of my business name draws people in. People gravitate to see what's going on because it's almost like an oxymoron. You know, like you said, you hear Compton and you associate it with a lot of things that are negative in life: gangs, drugs, prostitution, murder, just anything you can think of that's bad. It's most likely associated with Compton, corruption.
Right.
You know, so seeing vegan right after that is kind of like a, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Palate cleanser or something.
Right? Yeah. So, I haven't encountered many people seeing Compton vegan and running away. Yeah. It definitely makes people want to come check it out and see what's going on.
Nice.
But I have had my fair share of, you from Compton, why you ain't got no meat on there? You know, when they come to the truck and whatnot. And I just explained to them everything I told you. Yeah. Like, I don't have any meat on here because I want to add to your life and not take it away.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So we're almost done with this mash.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm feeling real relieved too, man. All those problems went right out the window. So, yeah. Which camera can see it? Can that camera? I'm gonna try to get these gloves off and see what the consistency looks like. So we went from the whole bean to just a nice good mash.
Yeah.
right? And then next up, we're going to put the flavor in here. So everything that I use is something that I can pronounce. All right, that's one of like my biggest things. When I was grocery shopping for myself, when I was on that fast, I learned so much. I would spend an hour or 2 hours in the grocery store reading labels, pulling my phone out, Googling what this is and what this is, and a lot of things are man-made. So I try to cook with as many things that I can pronounce as possible. Yeah. So we'll start off with some mustard. All right, we'll probably put about maybe a tablespoon, maybe we'll do a tablespoon and a half in there. All right. We've got some relish. All right. We're gonna do the same. Put a little bit of that in there. Maybe 3 tablespoons of relish. That's looking like 2. So most times when I cook, I don't really use measuring cups and things like that unless I'm baking. Baking, you kind of got to have an exact science to it, but when you're making things like this, sometimes the more the merrier, all right? And a lot of recipes online, they skimp on the flavor. Like they give you just enough to say, okay, that was cool, but when I make food, I want you to be like, that's better than cool, that's great, I want to get that again. Yeah. So we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of pepper in here. All right, that's about half a tablespoon of pepper. We don't want to OD on the pepper. All right, and then next up we've got some dill weed. All right, dill weed is gonna help us get that like seafood kind of vibe just a tad bit. Yeah. Probably put about 2 tablespoons of dill in there. And then next up we've got some onion powder. We're gonna get some onion powder in there. About 2 tablespoons worth of onion powder. Maybe even 3 if we're feeling fancy. Yeah,
I like how you're just eyeballing everything.
Everything is eyeball, man. I've made all of these dishes all of the dishes that I cook. I've made them so many times that I could literally do it with my eyes closed. Wow. Yeah. But I'm not gonna show off like that here today. All right, and then we're gonna put just about as much garlic powder that we put in there for the onion powder. So now we've got a nice array of spices in there. This is so simple, guys. All right. So then I've got this vegan mayo right here that I get in bulk. Shout out to Smart and Final. Yeah. Smart and Final just started carrying this. I was going to Restaurant Depot to get it, and Restaurant Depot's hours aren't always that great for me. Yeah. Restaurant Depot closes at 6 at most stores. Yeah. Smart and Final's open till 10, so that's great. All right. So with the mayo, we're probably gonna put about a cup of mayo in here. All right. All right, here we go. Cool. That's looking real good. Gotta get us that full cup now. All right, so we're gonna get that out of here now. Okay, so now we just mix that up, stir that up. So the hot sauce comes in at the end. All right. Yeah. It's one of those, if you want to take the sandwich to another level, then you add a little bit of the hot sauce in there and it gives it a better kick. Right. So regular, this is the regular style, but as I grew up, I started to have an affinity for spices. Right. So the hot sauce is where we get the extra love from. So.
Do you always go Frank's, or do you ever go like
Red Rooster, Louisiana, whatever's available? You know, hot sauce is gonna give us what we need.
So it looks like we do have some questions from the student corner.
All right, sweet.
So one of the first questions is, could you make this with something other than chickpeas?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could make this with something other than chickpeas. However, I wouldn't be able to tell you the answer off the top of my head. I could do some research and you can stop by our Compton Vegan Express in the local student union.
Yeah.
And then I'll have that answer for you as soon as tomorrow if you come by.
Yeah. It's a good point, is that there's a location here on campus. There's also a food truck that you have, right, in Compton?
Correct. So we have the kitchen space in the student union on the far west side of Loker.
Yeah.
And then we also have a food truck that is predominantly in Compton, but moves around for catering and,
Cool.
and you know, festivals and events and whatnot. So yeah,
Nice.
cool.
So, yep.
We do have a couple more questions. What are some of your most liked or favorite dishes that come from the food truck or even here at the school?
That's another great question. So my specialty is like we talked about earlier, vegan soul food. So I have something that's very unique to not just vegan food, but just food in general. I have something called a mac bowl, and the mac bowl consists of some vegan ribs that I made from scratch, and I chopped those up. I put some barbecue sauce on there and put that on top of the mac and cheese, which is cashew based. The cashew cheese, it has a lot of the properties that help with inflammation in your body. It has turmeric in there. That's one of the main ingredients. And turmeric lowers inflation in your body and helps your blood just flow through your body. So when I say I'm trying to help you live longer, I really mean it. And then the ribs are unique because, you know, when I first started this whole vegan or plant-based journey, I wanted to eat the same foods that I was eating before I decided to give up meat. So I've been making these vegan ribs, or a variation of them, since 2014. So they're 10 years in the making now, and they've continued to get better over time. So that's my most popular dish, and that's my favorite dish right there as well.
Nice.
That sounds delicious. That's something that we would love to try another time. Also, Haley had a question for Dr. Lucas.
Yeah, someone actually commented and they asked how you came up with the concept for Toro Time Life.
Well, that's a good question. Basically, I did my master's and I did some work with like food and nutrition in Guatemala. And I think that was something I always wanted to come back to, is just talking about like how food and culture and it's stuff that can be really taken for granted. You know, like it's almost like breathing. You just don't even recognize it anymore. So it's like food, we can often take it for granted. So I just want to shine a light on how culture is in everything. And it's not necessarily something that we can just like point to as like, oh, they said a certain word and that's culture, or like they dress a certain way and that's culture, or you know, going to a certain festival is the only place culture is. It's culture's everything, and in everything that we eat too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Plus, you know, all of the students who are on this project with me as well. I teach a visual anthro class. They all did wonderful work last semester, so I think I was also inspired by seeing their ethic, but also their creativity. And this just seemed like a really cool project to like shine a light on all that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't think we have any more questions, right? Sweet, so now we're gonna go ahead and put the sandwich together. I'm going to make one without the hot sauce, and then I'll make one with the hot sauce.
Perfect.
And then we'll get our taste on. Okay.
You got the wax paper.
Yeah, man, you know, try to do it big for this good old show. Here we go. So I like to put them on like French rolls. It's me being a little bit older and a little bit fancier. It still works on some good old fashioned bread, you know, some sliced bread. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put our, I'm sorry, I almost forgot one ingredient. So I like to chop up some celery.
Yeah.
And then add the celery in there. All right. Give it a little crunch. Can't believe I almost forgot that. Right there on my face the whole time. All right.
It looks good.
Thank you. So I like to add pickles, lettuce, and tomatoes. So we'll put the pickles on first. And then we'll add the tomatoes on the other side. Cut that in half. We'll, you know, figure it out like this. Improvise.
Yeah.
All right. Booyah. So then we got our tomatoes, we got our pickles, and then a little bit of lettuce. Shredded up the lettuce before we got on the camera, so all of this stuff is already done. Shouldn't be hard for you guys out there to shred some lettuce though.
Yeah.
If you need some help with that, you could Google it or you can come see me in the student union. So this is our first one without the buffalo sauce. Put that in there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put a little hot sauce in this one.
Nice. So you just put it straight in there and then.
Mix it up one more time.
Okay.
All right. This glove back off. Mix that up. Here we go. Glove up one more time. They say cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So here we go. Uh-oh. Little accident. All right. So this is pretty much what we get at the end. That's the buffalo chickpea tuna sandwich. And then we've got just the classic chickpea tuna sandwich.
Yeah.
All right, something real simple, something quick, something delicious, something filled with protein, and something that's good for your body.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Your future self will love you. Thank you, and get that out the way so you guys can see that. Oh, yeah. Future self will love you and thank you. Would you like to jump in?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Which one would you like, the buffalo or the regular?
I'm a big spice.
We'll go for the
Guy?
buffalo.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Let's get you some napkins because it might get messy.
All right. So I'm trying to get this bite.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time.
It does have like that consistency of tuna too. Like, I'm sure it's like the mayo, but also the way that you know, did it with your hands, right? Like, it almost kind of looked like potato from here and there, but like, yeah, this is real good.
Thank you.
I don't know if anyone else wants a bite, but
Would anybody else like to try? We got plenty. And I'm sure I could find a way we can cut it into pieces.
do we have any more questions over in the student corner?
We do actually. I'm gonna ask you first.
That looks really delicious, but we have a couple more questions. What inspired you to use the chickpeas specifically?
That's a good question. So when I first started to do my research, a lot of the misconceptions of veganism was that if you are a vegan or you don't eat meat, you don't get any protein. So from what I've learned over my time doing this and researching, the garbanzo bean is an excellent source of protein. So I've put an end to that misconception that if you don't eat meat, you'll die, because this year marked year 10 for me where I haven't eaten any meat.
Wow, really?
And I'm still here. And as far as I know, I'm still healthy. And I feel great. I think I look good. And yeah, so You can still get protein from foods that aren't animals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Our next question was, did you get any inspiration for your dishes by traveling?
No. No inspiration from traveling. Everything, it was kind of home-based centered. Everything was what I was already accustomed to eating. And it was just me redesigning what that looks like for me in my future. So I basically had to reprogram myself to eat the same foods, but just with healthier ingredients.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And then how long have you been cooking vegan food?
So I started the fast in 2013, 2014, and shortly after the fast, everything that I've cooked since then has been basically a plant-based version of something. So 10 years now.
And is there a specific bread you use for this dish?
So I just, once again, I always look at the labels and I just make sure that the bread doesn't have any milk in it. Because a lot of times people slide milk into things that you're like, what is milk doing in there? Some of your favorite chips have milk in them, and you just ask yourself, like, what is a potato and some of this spice doing mixing up with milk?
Yeah.
So any bread, just as long as it doesn't have milk in it.
Wow. Do we have another question from the student corner?
I think so.
We don't have any more questions, but thank you, Lemel, for all your inspiration and your information that you spread. And it looks really delicious. Can't wait to try it.
Cool. So we are coming up to the end of our program. I really appreciated you being willing to come on to show us a little bit of what you do, because I think when we think about how vegan cuisines are made, honestly, it's always been kind of a mystery to me. It's like, how do they make vegan tuna fish? And it just seems so accessible, right? It doesn't seem like you're doing anything crazy with it. You're not it's not overly processed. It's literally what you see is what you get.
Absolutely.
And so it just seems super attainable and honestly makes eating vegan food really, really accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's my goal, to be the option in the inner city. When I was starting out, I had to drive 10, 15, 20 miles away just to get something to soothe me for the day. And then that's when I started to just say I could do this on my own and started making everything from scratch.
Awesome. So where can folks find you, Lemel?
You can follow me on social media at our Instagram at Compton Vegan, and it pretty much tells you everything what you need to know. We'll be out on a truck. It has posts for Compton Vegan Express here. Yeah, follow me.
Yeah. So for our next episode, it's going to be October 22nd. That's going to be our Halloween spooky episode. It's going to be same time, 3:30 p.m., Tuesday, October 22nd. And we're going to be talking about chilaquiles and making chilaquiles. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate having you all here. And we'll see you on the 22nd.